So we're gonna go ahead and get into the last episode for this evening. And what I want to cover on this episode was pertaining to a lot of these spiritual leaders. I want to kind of cover that because I'm getting into this religion and I already know if it becomes any type of success, you already know they're gonna try to come with the okie doke is what I call it. Essentially is what it is. They're gonna try to come with the okie doke and come with some type of conspiracy and things of that nature. So I want to kind of get into just briefly, because I don't have a lot of time, how these religious leaders even get caught up into this. Now, what you got to remember is a lot of these, especially a lot of these black leaders, a lot of them were ex-pimps and stuff like that. And they just came from the streets and things like that and just moved the pimping into the religion. That's how they was brought up. That's how they was taught. So they was like pimps or whatever. And then a lot of that life carried over into their religion. And like I said, a lot of those contracts, even pimps, they got a contract with HP too. And a lot of those contracts weren't broken. So here you are trying to teach religious teachings, but then your pimping life is falling over into the religion. So you got that aspect. And then you got the aspect of a lot of these religious leaders get caught up into molestation, messing around with children and things of that nature, a lot of conspiracies. And we know some of these high-level religious leaders get caught up into this. And you're like, what, are they just sick in the head? That, but everybody's sick in the head. But then, too, a lot of these religious leaders get caught up into what's called sexual ritual. And that's why I offered the ritual that I'm talking about on my the advertisement on the last video, because when you talk about sexual ritual, it's levels to it. It's different levels to it. And a lot of people, they're not fully trained. So as soon as they think about sexual ritual, they think about getting about 6, 7 girls and doing rituals, and you don't know what you're doing. If you can't even go and count up to a certain number with this whole group, you're going to mess around and open up this group to a demonic entity that's going to mess up and mess up the karma for everybody involved in that group if you don't know what you're doing. So there's a way to, I say I'm like the Osiris of this. And there's a way to break out of the contract that you're going to form when you get into this stuff, or that you may have formed when you was in the underworld and the streets, and now you're trying to be spiritual and you're wondering why, it just isn't going right. And it's like, man, there's more to it than, what's in the Bible and stuff like that. It just is. The Bible, it teaches us a certain amount of knowledge about, basic things, but it doesn't really tell you about the contracts and stuff that you form with sin, so-called sin. And this isn't religious from a perspective of, oh, you did wrong. No, this is strictly, seriously dealing with a contract that you take on, and it could cause you to reincarnate back when you indulge in certain things in this world. See, there's certain things in this world that they consider forbidden. Forbidden just means that there's a deeper contract that can mess with your karma. So a lot of us in America, we experiment and get into recreational, drugs and things like that, not realizing this stuff is forbidden. So as far as going ahead and closing down, I'm going to do a part 2 with these religious leaders. I'll come back up. But the bottom line is that this is why I offer sexual rituals and things of that nature, because these rituals that I'm doing do not involve, I teach you how to not involve anyone. These are deeper sexual rituals dealing with working with your kundalini or your twin flame, possibly, if you found that. Working with that with your twin flame. So I'll get back up with more. My airtime is out for the night. This is what I'm on. So, if I'm allotted another 7 to 20 videos tomorrow, we'll be back up tomorrow teaching on the basic foundation of this religion that I'm forming based on astrology, so-called New Ageism, but really coupling that in with what was ancient and the ancestors and what they already brought us, and just kind of bringing that together into a practice to help people. And it's going to start off, it's offline, but of course it's going to be online for people that want to register. And then when you want to actually join up, you have to, eventually meet me online if, one day I get, and I'm blessed with people that want to do that. So I'll come back up with more. I want you guys to stay vigilant. Have a good evening. As far as these rituals are concerned, I do want to kind of point out, like, I don't teach on this, a lot of this publicly, because I'm going to stop talking about a lot of stuff publicly, but I'll say this. I am an insured eye for sexual rituals. I had a really good teacher that I learned online from. He's a guru. I'm not going to say who he is, but We got a real good correspondence. I've never met him, but learned a really good way and a technique on how to do these rituals. And also had some female teachers as well to throw that in and teach me some stuff as well. So I'm not going to reveal too much, but like I said, you know, as you move up into the levels, you get moved up into new information. So have a good evening, you guys. Namaste.